I wanted to make a custom button for a garment that I was making. Just one button. This button should look like a red eye. Not bloodshot or conjunctivitis red. It should have a red iris. So this button has a white rim for the sclera and an iris. There is no pupil. That's added later. You'll see. The only paints I had on hand were these really cheap paints. It made this process 10 times more difficult. It required multiple layers just to cover up the white plastic, and each layer I added on top shifted the previous layer. Using a primer probably would have helped. I'm dry brushing on some lighter colors here to bring out the texture of the iris. For what it was, it turned out okay. Then I added some UV resin. Finding a good UV resin is really difficult. All the ones I've tried before never cure properly and leave this sticky residue on the surface. Sadly, this one was no different. I should have tested it first. This eye button ended up in the bin, so I painted a new button. I made this one look a little different. This one does not have the yellow and orange highlights. Instead, it's dry brushed with some gold paint. I also tried a different kind of eye. I put a thin layer of resin on the iris part of the button and cured it. I brushed a layer of this chrome powder onto the surface of the resin. I must have missed some of the outer edges because the powder didn't stick in some places. So I went around the edges with some rose gold paint. Initially I was worried it wouldn't look right, but after it dried it was passable. I painted the last eye with gold paint. This is the first UV resin I have ever tried that actually cures nicely. I wanted a shiny dome over the iris, which is what I'm making here. The holes filled in with resin, but that's okay. I have a power drill. I did this for all of the eyes, and here's how they turned out. The gold one has resin over the entire surface, while the red and chrome ones only have it over the iris. I know they don't really look like eyes yet. They will soon. I drilled out the holes with a 2mm drill bit. The gold one turned out quite nicely. The red one did not. Using a heavy power drill to delicately drill out a hole at the edge of some cured resin is difficult. It was chipped. The chrome one had the same problem. I could have just coated their whole surface in resin at this point and re-drilled the holes, but I just patched them up like some kind of Frankenstein's monster instead. They look sad, but I'll still use them. Now, time to make them look like eyes. The thread is the pupil. See? It actually looks like an eye now. Not a human eye, but some kind of serpent eye. The unsightly middle is obscured, as well as my botched repair job. After making these, I decided to make humanish eyes, which could possibly double up as plushy eyes. Plushy eyes tend to leave out the whites of the eyes, so that's what I aimed to do for these. I redesigned the eye in Blender. Here it is in physical form. Then I decided to paint it using those same cheap children's acrylic paints. It looked messy and uneven. So this is the best I could do. The black paint was a more expensive brand used for painting minis, so it worked a lot better. I covered the whole thing in resin. Cured it. And didn't like it. In an attempt to make something better, I added some fine glitter to some resin and used that for the iris. The texture in the iris was intended to be painted on and dry brushed to highlight the ridges, so this really didn't look how it was intended to. Although I used my good quality paint for the pupil, I messed them up with my shaky hands. I also should have done 2 coats of the black. Right now you can't see quite how messy it is, but after curing the resin it was very clear. These poor eyes had suffered some kind of trauma. So for my last try, I started the eye by painting on the pupil, then adding the pigmented resin. After the iris was cured, I added a dome of clear resin and cured it. I drilled out the holes with a 1mm drill bit, and I ran some thread through it to see what it would look like on a finished product. I was hoping these might look alright as plushy eyes, but I think I'll just use these as buttons. Here they are, all together. Except the red one. I've used it for something. And that's how I made some eye buttons. I hope you liked it.